Hello all who join us here today for this next reading of the Torah of YHWH. It's trying to snow outside. Nothing can stick because it's too wet. But the snowflakes are so big, it's beautiful. Anyway, before we start, let's bow our hearts and pitch this tent with Elohim. Most beloved Abba YHWH, we come before you on this gorgeous day, most humbly to praise and worship you, and to thank you for bringing us here together to share in your word through the Torah of YHWH. Please open up our eyes to see, Father, and our ears to hear, and our hearts to understand. Soak us in your word and change us from the inside. Cleanse and purify our hearts, that we are, and every day, more pleasing to you. Please bless this reading. Through Yeshua we pray. In YHWH. YHWH Kodesh Elohim. YHWH Ehad. Amen. Well, thank you very much for coming to join us here today. I've left in the glossary and the pronunciation guide just for your reference. So get comfortable and let's begin. Offerings. Perfect without defect, Leviticus chapter 22, verses 20 to 25. Whatever has a defect you do not bring, for it is not acceptable for you. And when a man brings a peace offering to YHWH to complete a vow, or a voluntary offering from the cattle or the sheep, it is to be perfect, to be accepted. Let there be no defect in it. Those blind or broken or having a cut, or have an ulcer or eczema or scabs, you do not bring to YHWH, nor make an offering by fire of them on the altar to YHWH. As for a bull or a lamb that has any limb deformed or dwarfed, you do prepare as a voluntary offering. But for a vow it is not accepted. Do not bring to YHWH what is bruised or crushed, or torn or cut, nor do it in your land. And from a son of a stranger's hand, you do not bring any of these as the bread of your Elohim, for their corruption is in them, and defects are in them. They are not acceptable for you. See also Leviticus chapter 3 verses 1, 6 and 10, and chapter 22 verses 18 and 19, and Deuteronomy chapter 15 verse 21 and chapter 17 verse 1. Bring offerings to YHWH, Leviticus chapter 17 verses 2 to 7. This is the word which YHWH has commanded, saying, Any man from the house of Israel who slaughters a bull or a lamb or a goat in the camp, or who slaughters it outside the camp, and does not bring it to the door of the tent of appointment, to bring an offering to YHWH before the Mishkan of YHWH, blood guilt is reckoned to that man. He has shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people, in order that the children of Israel bring their slaughterings which they slaughter in the open field. And they shall bring them to YHWH at the door of the tent of appointment, to the Kohen, and slaughter them as peace offerings to YHWH. And the Kohen shall sprinkle the blood on the altar of YHWH at the door of the tent of appointment, and shall burn the fat for a sweet fragrance to YHWH, and let them no longer slaughter their slaughterings to demons, after whom they hoard. This is the law forever for them throughout their generations, in the place YHWH chooses. Deuteronomy chapter 12 verses 13 to 14. Guard yourself that you do not offer your burnt offerings in every place that you see, except in the place which YHWH chooses. In one of your tribes there are to offer your burnt offerings. There you are to offer your burnt offerings, and there you are to do all that I command you. See also Deuteronomy, chapter 12, verse 5 to 9, chapter 11, chapter 12, verse 5 to 9, verse 11, and verse 26 to 27. Voluntary offering. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 18 to 20. Any man of the house of Yisrael, or of the strangers in Yisrael, who bring his offering for any of his vows, or for any of his voluntary offerings, which they bring to YHWH as a burnt offering, for your acceptance, is a male, a perfect one, from the cattle, from the sheep, or from the goats. Whatever has a defect you do not bring, for it is not acceptable for you. And when a man brings a peace offering to YHWH to complete a vow, or a voluntary offering from the cattle or the sheep, it is to be perfect, to be accepted, and there be no defect in it. See also Leviticus chapter 1 verse 3 and Deuteronomy chapter 17 verse 1. Burnt offering. Leviticus chapter 1 verse 2 to 7. Verses. When any one of you brings an offering to YHWH, you bring your offering of the livestock, of the herd or of the flock. If his offering is a burnt offering of the herd, let him bring a male, a perfect one. Let him bring it at the door of the tent of appointment, for his acceptance before YHWH, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted on his behalf to make atonement for him, and he shall slaughter the bull before YHWH, and the sons of Aharon, the Kohanim, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood all around on the altar, which is at the door of the tent of appointment, and he shall skin the burnt offering and cut it into its pieces. And the sons of Aharon the Kohen shall put fire on the altar and lay the wood in order on the fire. And the sons of Aharon the Kohanim shall arrange the pieces with the head and the fat on the wood, which is on the fire on the altar. But its entrails and its legs he washes with water, and the Kohen shall burn all of it on the altar as a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to YHWH. And if his offering is from the flock, from the sheep, or from the goats as a burnt offering, let him bring a male, a perfect one, and he shall slaughter it on the north side of the altar before YHWH, and he shall cut it into its pieces, and its head and its fat. And the Kohen shall arrange them on the wood which is on the fire on the altar, but the entrails and the legs he washes with water. And the Kohen shall bring it all and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to YHWH. And if the burnt offering of his offering to YHWH is of birds, then he shall bring his offering of turtle doves or young pigeons, and the Kohen shall bring it to the altar, and shall wring off its head and burn it on the altar, and its blood shall be drained out at the side of the altar, and he shall remove its crop with its feathers, and throw it beside the altar on the east side into the place for ashes, and he shall split it at its wings, but not sever it. And the Kohen shall burn it on the altar on the wood that is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to YHWH. The skin, Leviticus chapter 7, verse 8. The Kohen shall also bring anyone's burnt offering, the skin of the burnt offering, which he has brought, is the Kohen's. The skin of the burnt offering which he has brought is the Kohen's. It is his. Okay. Grain offering, Leviticus chapter 2, verses 1 to 16. When anyone brings a grain offering to YHWH, his offering is to be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil on it, and put frankincense on it, and he shall bring it to the sons of Aharon the Kohanim. And the rest of the grain offering is for Aharon and his sons, most Kodesh of the offerings to YHWH by fire. And so you bring as an offering a grain offering baked in the oven, unleavened cakes or fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened thin cakes anointed with oil. But if your offering is a grain offering on the griddle, it is of fine flour, unleavened, mixed with oil. Divide it into bits and pour oil on it. It is a grain offering. And if your offering is a grain offering in a stewing pot, it is made of fine flour with oil. And you shall bring to YHWH the grain offering that is made of these, and shall present it to the Kohen, and he shall bring it to the altar. And the Kohen shall take from the grain offering a remembrance portion, and burn it on the altar, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to YHWH. And the rest of the grain offering is for Aharon and his sons, most Kodesh of the offerings to YHWH made by fire. No grain offering which you bring to YHWH is made with leaven, for you do not burn any leaven or any honey in an offering to YHWH made by fire. Bring them to YHWH as an offering of the first fruits, but they are not burned on the altar for a sweet fragrance. And season with salt every offering for your grain offering, and do not allow the salt of the covenant of your Elohim to be lacking from your grain offering. With all your offerings you bring salt, and if you bring a grain offering of your first fruits to YHWH, bring for the grain offering of your first fruits green heads of grain roasted on the fire, crushed heads of new grain, and you shall put oil on it and lay frankincense on it. It is a grain offering. And the Kohen shall burn the remembrance portion from its crushed grain and from its oil with all the frankincense, an offering made by fire to YHWH. Torah of the grain offering, Leviticus chapter 6 verses 14 to 18. This is the Torah of the grain offering. The sons of Aharon shall bring it near before YHWH in front of the altar, and shall take from it with his hand from the fine flour of the grain offering, and from its oil, and all the frankincense which is on the grain offering, and shall burn it on the altar for a sweet fragrance, as its remembrance portion to YHWH. Then Aharon and his sons eat the rest of it. It is eaten with unleavened bread in a Kodesh place. They eat it in the courtyard of the tent of appointment. It is not baked with leaven. I have given it to them as their portion of my offerings made by fire. It is most Kodesh, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. All the males among the children of Aharon eat it, a law forever in your generations concerning the offerings made by fire to YHWH. all that touches them is to be Kodesh. Types of grain offering, Leviticus chapter 7 verses 9 to 10. And every grain offering that is baked in the oven, and all that is prepared in the stewing pot, or on a griddle, is the Cohen's who brings it. It is his. And every grain offering mixed with oil or dry is for all the sons of Aharon, for all alike. See also Leviticus chapter 10, verses 12 to 13. Application of the grain offering, Numbers chapter 15, verses 2 to 14. When you have come into the land of your dwellings, which I am giving you, and you make an offering by fire to Yahweh, a burnt offering or a slaughtering, to accomplish a vow, or as a voluntary offering, or in your appointed times, to make a sweet fragrance to Yahweh from the herd or the flock, then he who brings near his offering to Yahweh shall bring near a grain offering of 1/10 part of fine flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil, and 1/4 of a hin of wine, or a drink offering you prepare with the burnt offering or the slaughtering for each lamb. Or for a ram you prepare as a grain offering 2/10 parts of fine flour mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil, and as a drink offering you bring 1/3 of a hin of wine as a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And when you prepare a young bull as a burnt offering, or as a slaughtering to accomplish a vow, or as a peace offering to Yahweh, then shall be brought with the young bull a grain offering of 3/10 parts of fine flour mixed with 1/2 a hin of oil, and bring as the drink offering 1/2 a hin of wine, as an offering by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. This is what is done for each young bull, for each ram, or for each lamb or young goat, according to the number that you prepare. So you do for each one according to their number. Let all who are native do so with them, in bringing near an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And when a stranger sojourns with you, or whoever is among you throughout your generations, and would make an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh, as you do, so he does. Peace offering, Leviticus chapter 3, verses 1 to 17. If that which he presents is a peace offering, if he is bringing it of the herd, whether male or female, he brings a perfect one before Yahweh, and he shall lay his hand on the head of his offering, and slaughter it at the door of the tent of appointment. And from the peace offering he shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the sons of Aharon shall burn it on the altar upon the burnt offering, which is on the wood, which is on the fire, as an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And if that which he presents is from the flock for a peace offering to Yahweh, male or female, he brings a perfect one. If he brings a lamb as his offering, then he shall bring it before Yahweh, and shall lay his hand on the head of his offering, and slaughter it in front of the tent of appointment. And from the peace offering he shall bring near as an offering made by fire to Yahweh, its fat. All the fat, tail, which he removes, close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the Cohen shall burn them on the altar as food, an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And if his offering is a goat, then he shall bring it before Yahweh, and shall lay his hand on its head, and slaughter it before the tent of appointment. And the sons of Aharon shall sprinkle its blood on the altar all around, and from it he shall bring his offering, as an offering made by fire to Yahweh. The fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the Cohen shall burn them on the altar as food, an offering made by fire, for a sweet fragrance. All the fat belongs to Yahweh. Torah of peace offering. Leviticus chapter 7 verses 11 to 21. This is the Torah of the slaughtering of peace offerings, which is brought to Yahweh. If he brings it for a thanksgiving, and he shall bring with the slaughtering of thanksgiving unleavened cakes mixed with oil, and unleavened thin cakes anointed with oil, or cakes of finely blended flour mixed with oil. Besides the cakes, he brings as his offering leavened bread, together with the slaughtering of thanksgiving of his peace offering, and from it he shall bring 1 cake from each offering as a contribution to Yahweh. To the Cohen who sprinkles the blood of the peace offering, it is his. As for the flesh of the slaughtering of his peace offering for thanksgiving, it is eaten the same day it is offered. He does not leave any of it until morning. And if the offering he brings is a vow or a voluntary offering, it is eaten the same day that he brings his slaughtering, and what is left of it is eaten the next day. And whatever is left of the flesh of the slaughtering on the 3rd day is burned with fire. However, if any of the flesh of his peace offering is eaten at all on the 3rd day, it is not accepted. It is not reckoned to him who brings it. It is unclean to him. And the being who eats of it, bears his wickedness, and the flesh that touches that which is unclean is not eaten. It is burned with fire. And as for the clean flesh, all those who are clean eat of it, but the being who eats the flesh of the peace offering that belongs to Yahweh while he is unclean, that being shall be cut off from his people. And when a being who touches that which is unclean, of the uncleanness of man, or of the uncleanness of beast, or of the unclean swarming creature, and shall eat the flesh of the peace offering that belongs to Yahweh, that being shall be cut off from his people. See also Leviticus chapter 22 verses 29 to 30. Contribution of the peace offering, Leviticus chapter 7 verses 29 to 36. He who brings his peace offering to Yahweh brings his offering to Yahweh from the slaughtering of his peace offering. With his own hands he brings the offerings made by fire to Yahweh. He brings the fat with the breast to be waved as a wave offering before Yahweh. And the Cohen shall burn the fat on the altar, but the breast shall be Aharon's and his sons. And the right thigh you give to the Kohen, as a contribution from your peace offerings. He among the sons of Aharon, who bring the blood of the peace offering and the fat, the right thigh is his for a portion. For the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of the contribution I have taken from the children of Israel, from their peace offerings, and I give them to Aharon the Kohen and to his sons as a law forever from the children of Israel. This is the anointed portion for Aharon and the anointed portion for his sons, from the offerings made by fire to Yahweh. On the day when Moshe presented them to serve as Kohanim to Yahweh, which Yahweh commanded to be given to them by the children of Israel on the day that he anointed them, a law forever throughout their generations. See also Leviticus chapter 19 verses 5 to 8. Sin offering. Leviticus chapter 4 verse 2 to 35. When a being sins by mistake against any of the commands of Yahweh, which are not to be done, and shall do any of them. See also Numbers 15, chapter 15, verse 22 to 23. Kohanim, Leviticus chapter 4, verses 3 to 12. If the anointed Kohen sins, bringing guilt on the people, then he shall bring to Yahweh for his sin which he has sinned a young bull, a perfect one, as a sin offering. And he shall bring the bull to the door of the tent of appointment before Yahweh, and shall lay his hand on the bull's head, and slaughter the bull before Yahweh. And the anointed Kohen shall take some of the bull's blood and bring it to the tent of appointment, and the Kohen shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before Yahweh, in front of the veil of the Kodesh place. And the Kohen shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of sweet incense before Yahweh, which is in the tent of appointment, and pour all the blood of the bull at the base of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of appointment. Then he takes all the fat of the bull as the sin offering, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat which is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys, as it was taken from the bull of a peace offering. And the Kohen shall burn them on the altar of the burnt offering. But the skin of the bull, and all its flesh, with its head and legs, its entrails and dung, all of the bull he shall bring outside the camp to a clean place, where the ashes are poured out, and burn it on wood with fire. Where the ashes are poured out, it is burned. Congregation, Leviticus chapter 4, verses 13 to 21. Very precise rules all this, aren't they? Anyway, continuing. If the entire congregation of Israel strays by mistake, and the matter has been hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done any of the commands of Yahweh which are not to be done, and shall be guilty, when the sin which they have sinned becomes known, then the assembly shall bring a young bull for the sin, and bring it before the tent of appointment, and the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before Yahweh, and the bull shall be slaughtered before Yahweh. See also Numbers chapter 15, verses 24 to 26. And the anointed Cohen shall bring some of the bull's blood to the tent of appointment, and the Cohen shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahweh in front of the veil, and put some of the blood on the horns of the altar which is before Yahweh, which is in the tent of appointment, and pour all the blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of appointment. Then he takes all the fat from it, and shall burn it on the altar, and he shall do with the bull as he did with the bull as a sin offering. So shall he do it, and the Cohen shall make atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven him, and he shall bring the bull outside the camp, and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering for the assembly. Ruler, Leviticus chapter 4, verses 22 to 26. When a ruler sins, and by mistake has done any of the commands of Yahweh his Elohim, which are not to be done, and shall be guilty, or if his sin, which he has sinned, is made known to him, then he shall bring as his offering a buck of the goats, a male, a perfect one, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the goat, and slaughter it at the place where they slaughter the burnt offering before Yahweh. It is a sin offering. And the Cohen shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour its blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering, and burn all its fat on the altar, like the fat of the slaughtering of the peace offering. And the Cohen shall make atonement for him for his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. Individual, Leviticus chapter 4, verses 27 to 29. If any being of the people of the land sins by mistake by doing any of the commands of Yahweh, which are not to be done, and shall be guilty, or if his sin which he has sinned shall be made known to him, then he shall bring as his offering a female goat, a perfect one, for his sin which he has sinned, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and slaughter the sin offering at the place of the burnt offering, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and slaughter the sin offering at the place of the burnt offering. See also Numbers chapter 15, verses 27 to 29. And the Cohen shall take some of its blood with his fingers, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour all the blood at the base of the altar, then remove all its fat, as fat is removed from the slaughtering of the peace offering. And the Cohen shall burn it on the altar for a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And the Cohen shall make atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. And if he brings a lamb as his sin offering, he brings a female, a perfect one, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and slaughter it as a sin offering at the place where they slaughter the burnt offering. And the Cohen shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour all the blood at the base of the altar. Then he removes all its fat, as the fat of the lamb is removed from the slaughtering of the peace offering. And the Cohen shall burn it on the altar, according to the offerings made by fire to Yahweh. So the Cohen shall make atonement for his sin, that he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. Torah of the Sin Offering, Leviticus, chapter 6, verses 25 to 30. This is the Torah of the Sin Offering. In the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered, the sin offering is slaughtered before Yahweh. It is most Kodesh. The Kohen, who is making atonement, eats it. In the Kodesh place it is eaten, in the courtyard of the tent of appointment. All that touches its flesh is to be Kodesh, dedicated. And when its blood is sprinkled on any garment, you wash that on which it was sprinkled in a Kodesh place. But the earthen vessel in which it is cooked is to be broken. And if it is cooked in a bronze pot, then it is scoured and rinsed in water. Every male among the Kohanim eats it. It is most Kodesh, and no sin offering from which any of the blood is brought into the tent of appointment to make atonement in the Kodesh place is eaten. It is burned with fire. Guilt offering, Leviticus chapter 5 verse 15. When a being commits a trespass and has sinned by mistake against the Kodesh matters of Yahweh, then he shall bring to Yahweh as a guilt offering a ram, a perfect one from the flock, with your valuation in shekels of silver according to the shekel of the Kodesh place, as a guilt offering. For swearing uncleanness or oath, Leviticus chapter 5 verses 1 to 13. When a being sins in that he has heard the voice of swearing, and is a witness, or has seen, or has known, but does not reveal it, he shall bear his wickedness. Or when a being touches any unclean matter, or the carcass of an unclean beast, or the carcass of unclean livestock, or the carcass of unclean creeping creatures, and it has been hidden from him, he is unclean and guilty. Or when he touches uncleanness of man, any of his uncleanness by which he is unclean, and it has been hidden from him, when he shall know it, then he shall be guilty. Or when a being swears, speaking rashly with his lips, to do evil or to do good, whatever it is that a man swears rashly with an oath, and it has been hidden from him, when he shall know it, then he shall be guilty of one of these. And it shall be, when he is guilty of one of these, that he shall confess that in which he has sinned, and shall bring his guilt offering to Yahweh. For his sin which he has sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb or a female goat, as a sin offering. And the Kohen shall make atonement for him for his sin. And if he is unable to bring a lamb, then he shall bring to Yahweh, he who has sinned, 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering, and he shall bring them to the Kohen, who shall bring near that which is for the sin offering first, and wring off its head from its neck, but not sever it. And he shall sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. And he shall prepare the second as a burnt offering according to the right ruling, and the Kohen shall make atonement for him, for his sin which he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. But if he is unable to bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he who sinned shall bring for his offering 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a sin offering. He puts no oil on it, nor does he put any frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering, and he shall bring it to the Kohen. And the Kohen shall take his hand filled with it as a remembrance portion, and bring it on the altar according to the offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a sin offering, and the Kohen shall make atonement for him and his sin, that he has sinned in any of these. And it shall be forgiven him, and it shall be the Kohen's like a grain offering for a mistake. Leviticus chapter 5 verses 15 to 19. When a being commits a trespass and has sinned by mistake against the Kodesh matters of Yahweh, then he shall bring to Yahweh as a guilt offering a ram, a perfect one, from the flock, with your valuation in shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the Kodesh place, as a guilt offering, and he shall make good for the sin that he has done against that which is Kodesh, and shall add 1/5 of it, and give it to the Kohen, and the Kohen shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering, and it shall be forgiven him. And when any being sins and has done what is not to be done, any of the commands of Yahweh, though he knew it not, yet he shall be guilty and shall bear his wickedness. Then he shall bring to the Kohen a ram, a perfect one, from the flock, with your valuation as a guilt offering. See also Numbers chapter 5 verses 6 to 8. And the Kohen shall make atonement for his mistake he committed unintentionally, though he did not know it, and it shall be forgiven him. It is a guilt offering. He was truly guilty before Yahweh. Most Kodesh. Leviticus chapter 7 verses 1 to 7. This is the Torah of the guilt offering. It is most Kodesh. The guilt offering is slaughtered in the place where they slaughter the burnt offering, and its blood is sprinkled on the altar all around. Then he brings from it all its fat, the fat tail, and the fat that covers the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the Kohen shall burn them on the altar as an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a guilt offering. Every male among the Kohanim eats it. It is eaten in the Kodesh place. It is most Kodesh. The guilt offering is like the sin offering. There is one Torah for them both. The Kohen who makes atonement with it, it is his. Robbery and extortion. Leviticus chapter 6 verses 2 to 11. When any being sins and committed a trespass against Yahweh, and has lied to his neighbour about a deposit, or about a pledge, or about a robbery, or shall extort from his neighbour, or has found what was lost and has lied concerning it, or sworn falsely, so that he sins in regard to any one of all these that a man does. Ooh. Then it shall be, when he sins and shall be guilty, that he shall return what he took by robbery, or what he has extorted, or the deposit which was deposited with him, or the lost item which he found, or all that about which he swore falsely. He shall repay its total value, add 1/5 more to it, and give it to whom it belongs, on the day of his guilt offering. Then he brings his guilt offering to Yahweh, a ram, a perfect one, from the flock, with your valuation as a guilt offering, to the Kohen, and the Kohen shall put on his linen garment, and put his linen trousers on his body, and shall take up the ashes of the burnt offering, which the fire has consumed, on the altar, and shall put them beside the altar, and he shall take off his garments, and put on other garments, and shall bring the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. Well, we're going to stop there for now, and we're halfway through offerings, but wow, what precision was ordained from such a long time ago. And look how imprecise we are with everything now. Anyway, thank you for listening. And thank you, Abba, for showing us these laws in such a simple way. Thank you for teaching us in all the ways you do. And thank you for your word, our Adon. Thank you for your Ruach HaKodesh, for dwelling in our hearts and for having us pitch tents with you, Father. You are our company, true company, truthful company. Thank you for your awesome patience with us and your multitude of blessings to behold. And thank you for the peace you set upon us to rest in. We patiently and eagerly await your coming. We pray through Yeshua in Yahweh, Yahweh our Kodesh Elohim, Yahweh Ehad. Amen. Once again, thank you for joining us for this daily bread portion. I'll continue reading when I'm feeling compelled. A lot of rinsing is going on in my life at the moment, like shifting, things are shifting around and moving. So, all I can say is keep praying in these times of change. I pray that you have much Hedwah and much Shalom through our Adon in Yahweh. Much ahav to you all. See you soon here or there. You're a Yahweh for everything.